In this tutorial, you're going to learn more about Python strings. I have defined this course variable and set it to Python for beginners. So, start coding the Python for beginners. Beginners. There. And print course 1. You can use both single and double quotes to define a string, but there are times you have to use a specific form. Here's an example. Imagine you wanted to change this string into Python course for beginners. Course for beginners. So we want to add an apostrophe here, Python course for beginners. Like this. In this, it will not read by the interpreter and it will not run the program because our string starts here and ends and then terminates here. All these characters that we have here after the second apostrophe, Python interpreter doesn't know what they are. So, to solve this problem, we need to use the double quotes to define our string so we can have a single quote in the middle of the string. So let's change these double quotes. Double quotes. There. And now you can see it add another double quotes close it. You have to manually remove this, the one that I removed, and also one more time. Yes. And now you can see the error is gone. So if you print course, we can see Python course beginners. Now let's say we don't want this apostrophe here. This one. We have Python for beginners 1. So we have Python for beginners here, but we want to put beginners in double quotes. Once again, if you add a double quote here, Python interpreter gets confused because it assumes that the second double quote indicates that end of the string, so it doesn't know what these characters are. To solve this, we need to change our double quotes to single quotes. And then we can add double quotes in the middle. This one. 2. Here. And there. Now let's run the program. There you go. So we get Python for beginners. These are the cases for the single and double quotes. Now, I've shown you so far, we only deal with short strings, but what if we wanted to define a string that is multiple lengths? For example, I'm gonna remove this. Of course, equals to triple quotes. What if we wanted to define a string for the message that we send in an email? In that case, we need to use triple quotes. Now we add 3 quotes, so we have 3 quotes to start our string, this one, and the 3 to terminate it. With this, we can define a string that spans multiple lines. For example, we can say, "Hi John, here is our first email. Thank you, the support team." Print course. Now let's run this program, and here's the result. So we get this beautiful multiple line string. Now let's change this back to something simple so we can look at other characteristics of strings and Python. So I'm going to use single quote and set the course name to Python beginners. Let's remove this. Course equals beginners. Print first and bracket 0. Now here we're going to use square brackets to get a character and a given index in the screen. So let me show you. So to get this first character, we use square brackets and type 0 here. So the index of the first character in this string is 0. In other words, this is how Python strings are indexed. 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay. So the index of the first character is 0, the second character is 1, and so on. So let me delete this and run this program. So we run this, we have P. We can also use a negative index here. Let's say -1. Let's see. Then so we have negative index. We can get a character started from the end. So if I pass -1 here, assuming that 0 is the index of the first character, -1 is the index of the last character. So when we run this program, we should see letter S here. So here you go. We get S if we pass -2. This will return to the second character from the end. So let's run it one more time. Now we get R because that is the second character from the end. And another example would be if we type 0 colon 3. Python interpreter will return all the characters starting from this index all the way to this second index. This one. 5. But it does not return to the character at this index. In other words, back to these indexes, you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. When you run this program, Python interpreter will return the characters starting from the index 0 here all the way to 3. So when we run this Python program, we're going to see the PYT, 5. Let me show you. So we're going to delete this line. Run this program, there you go. Okay, this one is pipe. We get pipe. Now here we also have default values for the start and end index. So if we don't supply the end index, Python will return all the characters to the end of the string. Now similarly, we have a default value for the start index. So if we don't apply the start index, but add an end index like 5. Okay, let's put here. And Python interpreter will assume 0 from the start here. So let's run this program so we can get a Python. Now what if we leave both from the start and the end index? Now in this case, 0 will be assumed as the start of the length, start index, and the length of the string will assume as the end index. So with this syntax, you can basically copy or clone a string. In this tutorial, we're going to look at formatted strings in Python programming language. Formatted strings are particularly useful in situations where you dynamically generate some text with your variables. So let me show you. Let's say we have two variables, first name and the last name. Let's say Chan. Last name. And Smith. Now it's better to call these variables first name and last name because they are more descriptive. But here I'm using shorter names because I want to see the entire code on display screen. So let's say these two variables, we want to generate some text like this. John in a square bracket. Like this. Small Smith. Is a folder. If we run our program, it will run like this. So let's say we want to print this on the terminal. How do we do this? Well, we define another variable like message. Now here we add the first name, message also first plus and the quotation and in the bracket, and then space plus and add the last name, space and then plus and another bracket. What is a folder? So okay. So then if you print message and run this program to see John Smith is a folder. Let's run it. Okay, John Smith is a folder, right? Now, while this approach perfectly works, it's not ideal because as our text gets more complicated, it becomes harder to visualize the output. So someone else reading this code, they have to visualize all the string concentrations in their head. This is where we use formatted strings. They make it easier for us to visualize the output. So I'm going to define another variable, let's say MSG, short for message, is equals to, and set and set this to a formatted string. A formatted string is one that is prefixed with an F. So let's put F quote, one, and then between the quotes, first we need to add the value of the first name variable. So we need add curly braces. This curly braces, put first, the first, and then bracket, next we're going to add the space. We add our square brackets in between the square brackets. We want to display the last name. So once again, we add curly bracket, last, and then bracket, and say it is a coder. And finally here we type is a coder. It's the last one. So this is what we call the formatted string. With these curly braces, this one, we're defining placeholders or holes in out string, and when we run this program, these holes will be filled with the value of our variables. So here we have placed two holders, or the two holes in our string. One is for the value of our first name, this one, and the other is the value for the last name variable. But compare this formatted string here, this one, with string concentration. With this formatted string, we can easily visualize what output looks like, right? So now let's print this other terminal to make sure we can get the same exact output. So let's print message. There you change this MSG. So let's print this message. There you go. So John Smith is a coder. So to define formatted strings, prefix your strings with an F and then use curly braces to dynamically insert values into your strings. Now, in this Python tutorial, I'm going to show you some really cool things you can do with Python strings. So let's start by defining a variable. Of course, and we set that Python for beginners. Course. Python for beginners. Then course. Now, to calculate the number of characters in the string, you can use a built-in function called len. This is the one. This one. So len give this in this course variable, and then we can print the result. Print the result. Now we also have functions specifically for strings. For example, we have functions for converting all these characters to uppercase or lowercase. To access these functions, we use a dot operator. So let me show you. So first we type course dot upper. So these are all the functions are specific to strings. Now, in more accurate terms, you refer to these functions as methods. This is a term in object-oriented programming that we want to look at it in the future. But for now, what I want you to take away is that when a function belongs to something else or is specific to some kind of object, we refer to that function as a method. For example, here we have this function upper for converting the string into uppercase. Now, accurately, because this function is specific to a string, we refer this as a method. In contrast, len and print are general purpose functions. They don't belong to strings or number or other kinds of objects. So this is the difference between function and methods. Now, let's take a look at this upper method. So let's print the result. So let's check the results and we run the program. There you go, you get all these characters displayed in uppercase. Now note this method does not change or modify our original string. In fact, it creates a new string and returns it. So if we print our course variable right after we call the upper method, we can see that our course variable still has its original form. Print So, if we print our course variable right after we call the upper method, we can see that our course variable, wait a second, print course. We can see that, run this one, we can see that our course variable still has its original form. Here, the uppercase, and it's the original form. So, here is our original course variable. It's not modified. Now, similar to the upper method, we have another method for converting a string into lowercase. So let me show you. Let me delete this. Print course on that lower. Perfect. Now, let's run the program. So, on the second line, you can see all the characters are all in lowercase. This one, second line. Now, there are times that you want to find a character or a sequence of characters in a string. In those situations, you can use the find method. So, let me delist these few lines. First step and find. Here we pass a character, let's say P. And this will return the index of the first occurrence of that character. So let me show you. Let's print key result. Print here. Let's run the program. So we get 0 because the index of the first capital P in the string is 0. As another example, if we pass a lowercase to O. Okay, here let's see what we get. Okay, we get 4 because the index of this O here is 4. Right here Now, note that the find method is case sensitive, so it's sensitive to lowercase and uppercase characters. As an example, if you pass an uppercase 0 here and 0 here, and we run this program, we get -1 because we don't have an uppercase 0 anywhere in this string. We can also pass a sequence of characters. For example, we can pass beginners with a capital B. Let's run this program and we get 11 because the word beginner starts with index 11. Now, we also have method for replacing a character or a sequence of characters, and that is called replace. So let's change the find to replace. And let's say we want to replace beginners, comma, to absolute beginners. Here I'm going to pass absolute beginners, so let's run this program. So we get Python for absolute beginners. Now we also have methods for replacing a character or a sequence of characters, and that is called replace. So let's replace find to replace, and let's say we want to replace beginners to absolute beginners to absolute beginners. Again, this method like find method in case sensitive. If you pass beginners, here I'm going to pass absolute beginners. Now let's run this program. So we get Python for absolute beginners. Again, this method like to find method in case sensitive. So if you pass beginners all in lowercase, so this method is not going to find this exact word in our string. Change B to lowercase b. Let's take a look if I'm going to run this. So we still get Python for beginners. We can also replace a single character. For example, we get cat P and J to P to J. So now when we run this program, now we get Jython for beginners. So these are the find and replace method. And one last thing I want to show you in this tutorial, these are times that you want to check the existence of a character or sequence of characters in your string. In those situations, you can use the in operator. So let's say you want to know if this string contains a word Python. We can write the expression like this: string Python, Python space in and then space course. It's fun. We're checking to see if Python is in course method. In this expression that produced a Boolean value, and I got true or false, so we refer to this expression as a Boolean expression. Now, if we print this on terminal, we should get true. By the way, I'm going to delete the second line. Don't need it anymore. So let's print this. Oops. Let's run this program. So we get true. But if I change this capital P in lowercase, if we run the program, we get false because we don't have the exact sequence of characters in our strings. Note that the difference between an operator and the find method is that our find method returns the index of characters or sequence of characters, but the in operator produces a Boolean value. Do you have this or not? So that's the difference. Now, let's recap all the things you learned to do with strings in this tutorial. We can use the len course, so on, or this. We can also have specific functions for strings which we refer to as methods, which include the uppercase, You can also have the lowercase. And the title case, or title methods rather. You learn about the find method. This one, find method, and which returns the index of a character or sequence of characters. We have the replace one. You also have the replace method for replacing characters and words in a string, and finally you learn about the in operator. This in chorus. So some characters in a string. Now, in this tutorial, you're going to learn the arithmetic method. So you have learned that in Python programming language, you have two types of numbers. Integers, which are whole number like 10. And they don't have a decimal point. And floating point numbers or floats, which are numbers with a decimal point. Now, in this tutorial, we're going to look at the arithmetic operations supported in Python language. These are the same arithmetic operations that we have in math. We can add numbers, multiply them, and so on. So let's take a look. Few examples. You can print 10 plus 3 plus 3. So this is addition operator. We have also subtraction, that one, and we have multiplication. We use asterisk, and we have two kinds of divisions. Here's one with a forward slash. So let's run this program and see what we get we get a floating point number. But we also have another division operator for getting an integer. You have to add a slash dash and we run this program, we get 3. So it's an integer. We have another operator called modulis, which is a percent sign. And this returns the remainder of the division. So when we run this program, we should get 1. Here it is, 1. And one last operator we have there is exponent, which is the power. We need 2 asterisks, and if we run this program, we get 1000. So these are the arithmetic operators in Python language. Now, for all these operators that you have learned, we have an augmented assignment operator that is very useful. So let me show you. So let's say we have variable called x is equals to 10. Like that one. Now we want to increment this by 3. Well, we have to write a code like this. X is equals x plus 3. So Python interpreter will add 10 to 3, the result is 13. And then it gets stored into x again. So when we print this, print x 1, we should get, let me run this program, we get 13. There you go. So this is how you can increment a number. Now, augmented operator is a way to write the same code, but in a shorter form. This is how it works. We type x plus is equals to equals to 3. So what we have on line 3 is exactly what we have on line 2. So this is what we call the augmented assignment operator. We have augmented or enhanced the assignment operator. Now in this particular case, we are incremented a number using the augmented assignment operator, but we can also subtract or multiply a number by a given value. For example, let's delete what we have in line 2. We can type subtract this one equals to 3. So here we subtracted x and 3. When we run this program, you should see 7. There you go. So that's how we execute the string methods and the arithmetic operations. And hope you learned something from me. And that's all for today. Thank you.